Our mission statement here at Personal Edge Fitness is we seek to make you feel better about being yourself. And in my 31 years of practice, I have found one common denominator that makes every one of our clients feel better. It's not strength training. It's not fat loss. It's increasing their energy level. And since that is the common denominator, how about I share with you 5 ways to increase your energy level today on the Personal Edge Fitness Podcast.
Welcome to the Personal Edge Fitness Podcast
with Garrett Williamson.
Health, wellness, exercise, nutrition, and a whole lot more. Got questions? Call us and leave a message at 251-278-EDGE or message us at Personal Edge Fitness on Facebook and Instagram, at Team PE on Twitter, or personaledgefitness.com.
Good day and welcome to the Personal Edge Fitness Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Garrett Williamson. I'm president of Personal Edge Fitness and your host for the Personal Edge Fitness Podcast, continuing to dispel the myths of health, fitness, and wellness. And the whole reason we started the podcast. I think we're up to somewhere in the 170s episodes. So excited to be here. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for listening or viewing this on social media. We appreciate having you. Let me tell you how to get in touch with the show. If you have any questions or comments, or the reason I was sharing all those numbers at the very beginning were, like many of our best podcasts, they come because of listeners' questions. This particular podcast is no different. If you're interested in contacting us, please give me a call at area code 251-278-3343. That's 251-278-EDGE. You can also reach out to me at Garrett, Garrett, at personaledgefitness.com. Personaledgefitness.com is our website. We have a contact information there. You can contact us that way, or, of course, on our Facebook page, which is simply Personal Edge Fitness. Hit me up on Twitter at Team PE. This particular podcast is one I like to talk on. I've actually spoken about increasing energy levels before. It's something people ask us all the time. As a matter of fact, I was just yesterday giving a talk to a civic organization. It actually happened to be a Rotary Club in Fairhope, Alabama, which I thoroughly enjoyed, and I really appreciate the members asking me to come. I love sharing that message. I had some fantastic questions, got to meet some great people, and they have a fantastic Rotary Club too. Being a Rotarian myself, I appreciate the work that Rotary does. And it starts on those grassroots levels, and that's a fantastic club. So I want to thank those of you that are in that club that may be listening for having me speak yesterday. The reason I bring it up was this question, either whether it's asked in the Q&A or afterwards. Somebody comes up to me afterwards and we start talking about it. This particular common denominator, as I call it, comes up, and that is about energy. And I had another person about 2 weeks ago contact me. I was working on a podcast that I did with Charlie Marlowe. I was so glad Charlie had he'd been back from the conference for about a month, and so we wanted to cover that information, but I kind of tucked this one away, and it was on the same question. It was, I just want to increase my energy level. And the email, I appreciate the listener sharing it with me, problems and challenges they'd had, the things they'd tried, and really wanted to kind of unlock that secret to energy. And the more I thought about these 5 points that I've got, they're not things you probably haven't heard. I'd be surprised if you have affinity for exercise whatsoever, that if you haven't heard these. As usual, I like to explain the why behind each one of them and how they actually do help you increase your energy level. I remember speaking to a group at a hospital. Was just answering general questions about fitness, and a lady raised her hand and asked me about, I just need more energy. What can I take? What can I take for more energy? I'm going to address that in just a second in one of my points here. But it's funny that I think back now, it's funny to me that that's the first thing that we go to as far as, and I want energy, I want it now. What can we take to increase energy? And I've never found anything that has sustaining energy. As far as, energy in a jar, it's something that's really going to stay with you and maintain your energy level. The interesting thing about that, and that's one of the points in here, is that taking something for your energy usually means something that's going to speed up your heart rate and therefore get more oxygenated blood through your system, in your system. That's what energy level really is. Oxygen is energy. I've said that before on the podcast, that's where you get your energy from. Plenty of oxygen coming in, and your body's ability to efficiently produce oxygenated blood. In other words, heart pumping. But if your heart pump is pumping so hard that you're running through an inefficient system, therefore you're out of shape, then you're going to lose all your energy. I mean, you're basically going to burn up your energy. You're going to have to stop. It's going to make you tired. If your body is in a state where it is operating efficiently, then your energy level is going to increase. And I promise you, If you make these changes and pay attention to it, I promise you, you will notice a difference in your energy level. Now, we see that with clients when they come in from the day they do their consult to usually within 2 weeks. And it's probably because I usually check back with them within 2 weeks, or one of our directors checks back with them to see, hey, how are things going? We'll ask them sometimes about that, about energy level, or they'll volunteer it themselves. Gosh, I'm sleeping better. I feel better. My energy level's better. And when they're saying they feel better, saying they're sleeping better, all translates to energy. I mean, that's why the smile breaks out in their face. But if you do these things, I promise you, you will notice a difference. The reason I bring up the clients from the consult to getting moving in the program within 2 weeks, I don't know that they've radically changed their diet. I don't know that they've done even more than one of these points that I'm about to go over, but they've done one of them and they already noticed a difference. And so creating that efficient body is what we're after. Creating that oxygenated blood is what we're after. And not taxing that system, not doing things to tax that system. And so I wanted to give that as kind of an overview before I start going through those points, because I'm going to try to draw all these points back to that. You'll see what I mean as far as a relationship of oxygenated blood and oxygen to your energy. First and foremost, getting enough sleep. Again, like I say, you've probably heard these before, but the whys behind them are real important. Now, it's easy to think, okay, if I sleep well, then I won't be tired and, my energy level will be up. Yeah, there's another part to that, though. And that is not only allowing your body to shut down and rest, just letting it cool off, I guess you'd say. Yes, that's a big part of it. Just letting it rest, therefore not overworking it, that does a lot for you. But the biggest part that sleep does for your energy level is the repair process. You may go to sleep. You may be unconscious, but your body's still working. The heart's still pumping, obviously. Lungs are still going, obviously. So we've got oxygen going through. Also, the food that you've given your body that day is being processed. That's part of your metabolism. And not only is it being processed, but that whole rebuilding that I've talked about before. I did a podcast talking about how you actually build muscle and what a trainer does. And when you do an exercise, when you're doing resistance training, you're actually breaking down muscle tissue. Whether you do resistance training or not, if you use your muscles, in other words, if you're not just lying still all day, you're having little micro tears. You're stressing those muscles. If you're trying to get anything, I walked the same pace. I walked a mile, and today I went a mile and 15 yards. Okay, you may have stressed the body a little bit more. You may have torn even a few more fibers. And it doesn't mean you're actually sore the next day, but those micro tears, as we call them, you may not even notice them happening, and most likely you won't notice them happening. Your body is repairing. It's using the time off while that body part is resting. It's using the nutrients plus the oxygen plus the blood, that whole circulation process to repair those micro tears. If you're doing a heavy workout, that lactic acid you feel in the workout, that's burnt. That's what's released when the muscle is actually torn, and which tells your brain, hey, stop this. This is enough of this. But that lactic acid is not the soreness you feel. That actually goes away within 25 to 30 seconds. The soreness that you feel the next day is the repair process going on, and a lot of that takes place when you're sleeping. Obviously, because you're not, if your legs are sore, you're not using your legs, and so your legs are actually repairing during that time. That repair process, how does that relate to energy? Well, the more repair, the more fine-tuned your body is, the more efficient it's going to run. Think about a car being raced at a racetrack, NASCAR, Indy, whatever, dirt track, whatever happens to be your flavor. After the race, that car goes and rests, basically. I mean, it's being rebuilt, it's being worked on, being tweaked, being put together, and getting ready for the next race. That's what's happening in your sleep. And if they find things in the car that, hey, things aren't running quite as efficiently, I think we can use a better fuel. I think that we can do something with the transmission, maybe the gearing isn't quite like we like it. That is fine-tuning that machine, because you have tested that machine, you've tested that car, and maybe you've done a circle tracks without a problem, and then you happen to go to a certain track that's different, and you find out, wow, it doesn't operate as well there, so we need to make tweaks to make that car operate better on that track. Well, that's the same thing your body does. When you do a workout and you tear a muscle fiber, you've just told your body, hey, look, the challenges that I've had in the past, well, they're different now. I've got different challenges. They're harder, and I need this body to adapt to it. And your body is the pit crew. Your body is basically sitting there, okay, great. The task that we were tasked with yesterday, not quite strong enough, or we were strong enough, but we did some damage. I want to make sure that doesn't happen again. So we're going to repair those body parts, those muscles especially, and we're going to make them a little bit stronger. We want to make sure that doesn't happen again. All of that, just like a car, allows the body, that machine, to operate more efficiently. Now, the more efficient it operates, the more energy you're going to have. Now, I've explained that before, but think about if you've got a clogged tube and you're trying to force water through it, it's going to take a lot of energy to force that water through that tube. Well, if if that tube is opened up, then water's going to go through it a lot easier, less energy, and that's basically makes that tube more efficient. Your body does the same thing, especially in getting rid of fat and what have you, and plaque buildup and this kind of thing in your arteries. So it makes your heart work easier. Therefore, all your organs work easier because it doesn't have as much obstruction there. And the more healthy tissue that you have in your body, that makes it much easier for the heart to work, makes it easier for your body to work. Therefore, you're not zapping that energy just existing, I guess you'd say. That's why I keep saying efficiency increases the energy level. But getting sleep is incredibly important. It's typically recommended 7 to 9 hours. I will tell you this, the better shape you're in, the less sleep you need. Now, I'm not saying I recommend, start limiting your sleep because you're in better shape, but it's true that the more efficient your body becomes, the better shape you're in, you can actually feel rested faster. Let's put it that way. But the typical rule of thumb is 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Number 2 happens to be, they usually say eat a balanced diet. And I can understand that, but I'm careful with that word balanced because that originally came from the food guide pyramid, and which was completely wrong. And so the quote-unquote balance of that's not fantastic. But I will say this, I'm going to break it down a little bit. The different nutrients, carbohydrates, protein, healthy fats, all of this can help provide sustained energy throughout the day. Now, if you notice I didn't tell you to avoid anything, that's not really what I'm talking about, but not having enough of those right nutrients on board, especially, I always start with making sure you have enough calories, not too many, and that you maintain your protein. Those are the chief concerns. First off, is making sure you have enough calories and not going over and making sure you have enough protein. The rule of thumb on protein, I've told y'all, is every meal, every day. Why? Well, it goes back to that repair process and making sure that repair process is operating efficiently. If your body's trying to repair those muscles and it's got everything prepped, ready to go, and it looks to what I call the wood pile, which happens to be protein, and there's none there, well, we can't make that muscle more efficient. We can't make it stronger. We can't make it operate better. But also, whenever you're lacking in certain nutrients, magnesium, potassium, what have you, it makes your body work a heck of a lot harder. And I don't want to go too deep into that on this podcast. I may do another podcast some other time, but if you have any questions about that, I can get really deep on those different nutrients that you're lacking, because actually I do this in my presentation on Live Age. I talk about when people ask me, or I address the question, well, Garrett, if the Live Age, if you say that's true, that there's no such thing as deterioration according to time, then why do I see people that are walking around like this? Or why is my friend who's in fantastic shape and eats great according to what I think and exercises, whatever, why are they still aging? And I throw up this graph, and I'll be more than glad to share it with you, and I'm glad to talk to you about it in depth of the different nutrients that and the percentage of population that is lacking in those nutrients. So one of the ones I talk about a lot on the show here is protein. 46% of adults, it's estimated, don't eat enough protein. I say it's estimated because I think it's less than that, but in seniors, it's 75% don't eat enough protein. Kids, it's a lower percentage, and we wonder why kids are strong, but when I got older, I lost all my muscle. Well, there you go. There's a direct correlation. But magnesium, potassium, iron, water, all of these play a part. And they play a little bitty part, but you put them all together, you're going to create an inefficient body. You're going to create a challenging time for your heart and lungs to work, and also, zap your energy. Definitely. And so I think you can see how that oxygen transfer deals with that, especially in maintaining muscle or requiring your organs to work harder, again, zapping that oxygen, zapping that energy. Number 3, I didn't put it at the top. And I didn't end with it either, but, it's my favorite. Of course, staying hydrated. Dehydration can cause fatigue. All right, why? Easy. Simple. It's funny, this one actually number 3 goes with number 4. Dehydration can cause fatigue. Why? Well, there's several ways it can do it, but let me take it the simplest way. You're making your blood thicker. I mean, you're basically creating a situation where your heart is having to pump sludge and trying to get that through your body. Therefore, it's going to require more energy. It's going to make you more tired. It's going to create actual fatigue. On top of that, you're not getting the right hydration, potassium, these kind of things to the different muscles. So therefore, you're getting cramps. They're not able to fire like they should, and that's all due to a lack of water. Also makes your brain have to work harder because 30% of the water you drink is used by your brain. So again, that's going to tax that oxygen transport system. Number 4, and this is the one thing that I will say to avoid as far as increasing your energy levels. I'm careful about this because I don't believe in bad food. I think that's absurd. But if you're trying to increase your energy level, one of the things we typically go for is caffeine, ephedrine, these kind of things, these sports drinks or the different energy drinks. I shouldn't say sport drinks, but energy drinks to try to get energy. And hello, I'm Garrett. I'm a caffeineaholic. I've had my challenges with that. So I understand that. I understand going for that cup of coffee, going for that energy drink to get that boost. And you do feel a boost. Why do you feel a boost? Well, you feel a boost because your heart rate is speeding up artificially and not sustainable. Here's the bad side of that. Temporarily, yes, it will work. It will help you. But it basically causes you to, over the long run, lose energy. How does it do that? It does that by interrupting your sleep patterns, interrupting your resting patterns, interrupting the patterns of repair, not just through sleep. So, it's much like a drug. It's like a drug addict. If somebody takes a little bit of cocaine and gets high, if they continue to do that, pretty soon they need more and more. And what ends up happening is the high that they're experiencing is not as high, but the low, the drop-off is worse. And that's why people start taking more and more and more. Drinking coffee is the same way. Taking energy drinks is the same way. I've actually watched somebody do this. I saw them start with a simple, one of these little energy shots. And they would actually take that energy. I would see them drink it in the middle of a meeting. And I watched them through the years and when they would continue to do that. And they went from one of those to 2 of those. And then they pretty soon were taking 1 or 2 and pouring them into a caffeinated beverage. I could actually see this person having that low boost and big drop off. Amazing how it affects your mood. But it ends up interrupting your sleep. People tell me all the time, hey, I do those, but I don't do them anywhere near when I go to sleep. Doesn't matter. You're going to create that heart rate bump, and it may come down to where you don't, after a while, it may drop down to where you don't feel a major energy change, but it still stays up a bit. That stuff stays in your system. I used to get on to my father about this all the time. He was adamant that when you get older, you don't go to sleep, you catnap. Well, he drank 21 cups of coffee a day. There's a reason why he catnapped. He had a tough time losing consciousness. Now, I've talked about this before, but when I'm doing this, if you're watching this on social media, you'll see me doing my hand up and down while I'm doing that, is when you go to sleep, your heart rate should drop real far off. I'm careful saying this word because heart rate plummeting probably doesn't sound great, but that's basically what you want it to do. You want it to drop several beats down. And so that when you're dreaming, you sleep in cycles, and at the low end of your cycle is the lowest heart rate, the deepest REM sleep. At the top end of your cycle, it's more of a shallow, not quite as deep a sleep. So your heart rate actually changes during those times. Well, if you drop, I'm just making up these numbers, but if you go to sleep and you drop a good 20 beats from your resting heart rate, from your, sitting at your office still operating, but your resting heart rate, and it drops 20 beats, well, you can stand to have it elevate 5 to 7, 10 beats at the top of your sleep cycle because it's not going to wake you up. But if it only drops about 10 beats or 5 or 6 beats, then when you get to the top of your sleep cycle, you're going to wake up because it's going to be back to your normal resting heart rate. So that sleeping heart rate, let's call it, you want that to be as low as possible. And if you have that caffeine, ephedrine, whatever, regularly in your system, nicotine does the same thing, then it is going to be tougher to sleep. No matter if you do, I stop at 3 hours before I go to sleep, doesn't matter. It's going to stay with you. So careful with that. And also alcohol. And the main reason for alcohol, again, I'm not against any of these except for the fact that if you're interested in increasing your energy level, you do want to at least limit them. And if you're really trying to make a big difference, yeah, cut them out altogether. But alcohol, biggest reason, dehydration. It's going to leach water from your system, and therefore that goes back to what I was talking about on the third one, and that is why I said those two were connected. It's going to create that sludge situation, make it very, very difficult for your body to operate, make it far more inefficient. And number 5 is taking breaks. Taking breaks regularly through the day. And that may sound funny, but I'm going to go back to my car analogy on this. And that is that going hard, being in a stressful situation, going hard is demanded of many of us. I'm a business owner, and going hard at certain times of the day, hey, that's part of the job. But got to have those breaks. And if you don't have those breaks, a lot of people think, well, I just stay nose to the grindstone. I work really hard. Isn't that fantastic? I promise you're not getting as much done. You'll get far more done if you take those breaks. But I said I was going to go back to my car analogy. Okay, at the end of the race, the car goes to sleep for a while, goes and does the repair and gets ready for the next race. But in between so many laps, pulls into the pit stop, refuel, let it rest a little bit, what have you, make any adjustments. But that's what your body does when it rests, the quote-unquote power nap, or just taking your body out of that stressful situation. That rest can be actual rest, taking a nap. It can be, okay, let's shut everything down that's stressing me right now, and let's, read something. Let's watch a 30-minute sitcom or something where you're relaxed, you're allowing your heart rate to come down, you're not taxing your system as much. And that will actually increase your energy level. It will allow you to go longer throughout the day. So if you're trying to go hard, you can only go hard for so long. It's just like a sprint. Why does the world-class sprinters do that same speed for a marathon? Well, they can't. Their body can't do that. Same as yours. It's not going to work at full capacity. You're not going to get as much done. You may keep moving, but your percentage and productivity is going to go down. No matter what you say, it's going to go down. But if you take the regular breaks, you'll see that your energy level increases and you're going to be far more efficient. Let's say you start off at 100% during the day and you stress yourself down to 50%. Well, if you took that break, then you could bring it back to, let's say 80%, 70 or 80%, maybe not 100%, okay, but bring it back up to 70 or 80% and then go down again and maybe around to 40% and then another break. Take it back up to 50, drop down to 30, something like that, instead of running it to 50 and then continuing to run it, because you're just going to keep dropping down. You're going to keep losing energy. You're going to keep affecting that oxygen transport, which is going to cut your energy. So taking those breaks, stepping yourself away from that stress, whatever that means to you, whether it's just taking a nap, sitting in your office chair, maybe surfing social media, anything that's just not stressful. Reading a book is fantastic, but taking that break will make a huge difference in your day. Those are the 5 points I have for anybody that wants to make any changes to their energy level. Really addressing those, really picking any of those, especially any of them that you may not be doing. If you're doing, hey, I'm doing 3 out of those, great. Look at those other 2. See if you can make adjustments there. Another way, of course, is something that I'm not showing is one of the 5 points, but one of the big energy drains, of course, is carrying around too much weight. Especially carrying around too much adipose tissue, carrying around too much fat. Fat makes your body far more inefficient. Carrying around too much weight, well, if you have to rock around all day and you got a 50-pound sack, how much energy would you have if you got to drop that 50-pound sack? And how much more energy would you get back? And one of the best ways to address that, of course, is contact us, especially getting involved in our In It to Lose It program. If you want a two-week program to get yourself to drop the weight, to really start feeling difference, really start a major jump start into your program, give us a call at 251-278-3343. That's 251-278-EDGE. You can also contact me at Garrett, Garrett, at personaledgefitness.com. You can reach out to me at personaledgefitness.com and also our Facebook page at Personal Edge Fitness. Hit me up on Twitter if need be. Getting more energy, it's far simpler than you think. And I promise you, that is definitely, for every one of our clients, another way we help all of them, and hopefully you, reach your level of wellness. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to the Personal Edge Fitness Podcast with Garrett Williamson. Subscribe now and be a part of the show by calling 251-278-EDGE or message us on Facebook and Instagram at Personal Edge Fitness or at Team PE on Twitter, and visit us at personaledgefitness.com.